day I found my brother's room still locked after 10 years, I swear my heart stopped for a moment. I thought I had made peace with his disappearance, convinced myself he was gone forever. But that door, untouched and sealed since the night he vanished, whispered something different. My name is Emma, and this story is about the night I realized the past never really leaves, it waits, quietly, behind closed doors. It all began when I returned to my childhood home after a decade away. My mother had passed a few months earlier, and the house had been left to me. I remember walking through the dusty hallway, the smell of old wood and rain seeping through the broken window frames. Every creak of the floorboards felt like a voice calling from another time. The living room still looked the same, the faded couch, the broken lamp, the clock stuck at 2:17 a.m., the exact time my brother Noah had gone missing. I was only 17 then, and I still remember the way he smiled that night before heading to his room. No one saw him leave, no sign of a struggle, no note, nothing. Just gone. As I stood before his door, the same heavy oak one with the brass knob, I noticed something strange. The doorknob still had the small scratch I made with a bobby pin when I was 8, trying to unlock it after he wouldn't let me in. But now, even after all these years, the lock was engaged, from the inside. My stomach twisted. That shouldn't have been possible. We had tried to open it so many times before. But the locksmith said it would have to be broken down, and my mother never allowed it. "Leave it alone," she would say, her eyes full of fear instead of grief. But now, there was no one to stop me. I placed my hand on the doorknob, feeling the chill of the metal against my skin. Dust rose in the air as I twisted it locked still. I whispered, "Noah?" Half expecting an answer, half dreading one. Silence. Just the wind pressing against the old walls. But then, I heard it, a faint sound, a soft dragging noise, coming from inside his room. For a moment, I froze, convinced my imagination was playing cruel tricks on me. But the sound came again slow, deliberate, like something brushing across the floor. My breath hitched as I pressed my ear against the cold wooden door. There it was, faint but real. A shuffling noise, followed by what sounded like a quiet thud. My pulse hammered in my throat. I stepped back, staring at the locked doorknob, my mind spiraling. It had been 10 years since Noah disappeared. 10 long years of unanswered questions, sleepless nights, and my mother's silence. Could someone be inside? Could he still be there? The thought made my skin crawl. I called out again, louder this time. "Noah, it's me, Emma." My voice cracked in the empty hallway. Nothing. Then the sound stopped. Dead silence. My eyes darted around until I spotted the small key box hanging on the wall, still rusted and untouched. Maybe there was a spare key somewhere inside. My fingers trembled as I tore it open, the metal groaning in protest. Inside, there were only old house keys and a folded piece of paper yellowed with age. I unfolded it with shaking hands and felt my heart drop. It was a note, written in Noah's handwriting. "Don't open the door, Emma, no matter what you hear." I felt the air leave my lungs. It couldn't be real. My hands shook as I reread the words, the ink slightly smudged as if written in a rush. Every instinct in me screamed to stop, but curiosity or maybe love kept pushing me forward. I grabbed the heaviest thing I could find, a metal candlestick from the hallway shelf, and slammed it against the doorknob. The impact echoed through the empty house, once, twice, 3 times, until the metal cracked and the lock gave way with a sharp click. The smell that poured out was old, thick, and suffocating like something had been sealed for years. I pushed the door open slowly, my stomach tightening with dread. The curtains were drawn, dust swirling in the thin beam of light that cut through a crack. Everything was just as Noah had left it, his desk, his posters, his books scattered on the floor. But then I saw it. On the far side of the room, the closet door was slightly open, and something was moving inside it. My breath caught as I stared at the closet door, the tiny sliver of darkness between the panels looking almost alive. Every muscle in my body screamed to run, but my feet refused to move. The air in the room felt heavy, charged with something I couldn't explain. I whispered again, barely audible. "Noah?" The sound of my voice seemed to wake the silence. The closet door creaked open a little more, as if pushed by an unseen hand. I stepped closer, heart thudding so hard it hurt. The floorboards groaned beneath my feet, and the smell inside the room grew stronger. Stale air mixed with something metallic, something I didn't want to identify. I reached out and grabbed the edge of the door. For a second, I hesitated, remembering the note. "Don't open the door, Emma." But I had already broken that rule once, hadn't I? Slowly, I pulled it open, and the dim light from the hallway spilled inside. There was no one there, just boxes, old clothes, and a thick layer of dust covering everything. I let out a shaky laugh, half from relief and half from fear. "You're losing it," I whispered to myself. But then I noticed something odd. The back of the closet wasn't like the others in the house. The wooden panels looked newer, as if someone had replaced them recently, 10 years ago, maybe. I reached out and tapped one gently. It sounded hollow. I pressed harder. The panel shifted slightly, revealing a small gap behind it. My stomach dropped. Without thinking, I pulled at the edges until the panel came loose, and what I saw made me stumble backward. There was another door, a hidden one, narrow and old, with a chain lock on my side. My mind raced. Why would Noah have a secret door behind his closet? I unhooked the chain with trembling fingers and pushed it open just enough to see inside. It was pitch black at first, but the faint glow from my phone flashlight revealed a small windowless room. Inside were scattered notebooks, a mattress on the floor, and a photo of me, taped to the wall, with a message written beneath it in Noah's handwriting. "I'm still here, but not the same." For a long moment, I couldn't breathe. The words on the wall blurred as my vision swam, and I felt my knees weaken. "I'm still here, but not the same." What did that even mean? My brother had been missing for 10 years, 10 birthdays, 10 Christmases, 10 years of pain and silence. I stumbled into the hidden room, my flashlight trembling in my grip. The walls were covered with papers, drawings, and notes written in Noah's handwriting, but they weren't like the brother I remembered. These were frantic, messy, filled with strange phrases. "They're watching. Don't trust her. The door must stay closed." My skin prickled as I read each one. On the floor near the mattress was a small wooden box. I knelt down and opened it carefully. Inside were cassette tapes, each labeled with a date starting from the night Noah disappeared. My heart pounded so loudly I could barely hear my own breathing. I took one out, found an old tape recorder on the shelf, and pressed play. At first just static, then his voice, shaky, scared, unmistakably his. "If someone finds this, I don't know how long I can keep hiding. She's not who she says she is. Mom's been lying. The house isn't safe. Please, Emma, don't open my door." My throat went dry. I paused the tape and stared at the walls again, noticing something I hadn't before, lines scratched into the plaster, counting days, hundreds of them. He'd been here, all this time. My mother knew. I remembered her insistence that no one should touch his room, her refusal to talk about him, her panicked eyes whenever I mentioned his name. "She's not who she says she is." His voice echoed in my head. What did that mean? My mother or someone else? I pressed play again. "I think she comes at night." I hear her whisper through the vents. "She says she's me, but I'm still here. I'm still real." My entire body went cold. The recorder clicked off suddenly, though I hadn't touched it. Then, from behind me, somewhere deeper in the room, I heard a faint whisper, soft, almost familiar. "Emma." I turned slowly, the beam of my flashlight shaking across the walls. "Noah," I whispered, but the voice that answered wasn't his. It was mine. I froze where I stood, the sound of my own voice echoing softly through the cramped hidden room. For a second, I thought the fear had finally broken something inside me, that maybe I was just hearing the echo of my own trembling whisper. But then it came again, clearer this time, mocking, almost playful. "Emma, you shouldn't have come back." My flashlight flickered violently, and for a split second, I thought I saw something move in the corner, a flicker of a shadow that wasn't mine. My legs felt heavy, rooted to the floor, but I forced myself to turn toward the sound. The air had grown cold enough to make my breath visible. My fingers shook as I raised the light toward the far wall, and that's when I saw it. There was another mirror, cracked and dusty, leaning against the bricks. But the reflection wasn't right. It was me, but not exactly. The reflection's eyes were darker, its expression twisted into something cruel, something knowing. I staggered back, heart racing, as the reflection tilted its head and smiled. "You never listened," it said in my voice, though my lips didn't move. "He told you not to open the door." The mirror began to tremble, faint vibrations rippling across its cracked surface. My instincts screamed at me to run, but I couldn't look away. "Where's my brother?" I demanded, my voice breaking halfway through. The reflection only laughed softly, a sound that crawled under my skin. "He never left," it said. "You just forgot." My head throbbed, flashes of memory flooding in nights when I'd heard whispers through the vents as a child. Times I thought Noah was talking to himself, and the one night before he disappeared, when he had clutched my hand and begged me not to believe what I saw in the mirror. The truth twisted in my chest like a knife. The mirror's surface shimmered, and suddenly I saw something behind my reflection. A shape, small and thin, crouched in the darkness. Noah, his face pale, eyes hollow. "Help me," he mouthed silently, reaching toward me through the glass. I stepped forward without thinking, reaching back, desperate to touch him. But just as my fingers brushed the cold surface, the reflection's grin widened. "You can't save him," it whispered. "You let him in." And then the glass shattered. The sound of the glass shattering was deafening, like 1,000 voices screaming all at once. I stumbled backward as shards scattered across the floor, slicing through the silence. My flashlight fell from my hand and rolled to the corner, its beam spinning wildly over the cracked walls and torn papers. I covered my ears, trying to drown out the ringing, but then suddenly it was gone. Complete silence. I forced myself to look at the mirror, now nothing more than jagged edges framing an empty void, but behind where it once stood, the bricks were gone, replaced by a narrow tunnel leading deeper underground. My stomach twisted. This wasn't just a hidden room, it was part of something bigger, something my mother had gone to great lengths to conceal. I picked up the flashlight, my palms slick with sweat, and shone it down the tunnel. The light revealed more scratches on the walls, more notes scrawled in Noah's frantic handwriting. She took my face. "Don't trust your reflection." I swallowed hard, my throat dry. "Noah, if you're down there, I'm coming," I whispered, though I wasn't sure if I meant it or was trying to convince myself. Every step I took into that passage felt heavier, the air growing colder, the sound of my heartbeat echoing off the walls. After what felt like forever, the tunnel opened into a larger space, a cellar maybe. The ceiling was low, and water dripped from somewhere above. In the center stood an old mirror, perfectly intact despite the rot around it. My reflection stared back at me, pale and trembling. But something was wrong. It wasn't copying me. When I tilted my head to the right, it tilted to the left. When I took a step forward, it stayed still. "Stop," I whispered. "Stop it." The reflection slowly smiled, its movements slow and deliberate, and then behind it, appearing like a ghost, was Noah again. He looked terrified, his hands pressed against the glass. "She's using your face," he said, his voice muffled but desperate. "It's not you, Emma. It's her." My chest tightened as I reached for him, tears blurring my vision. "Who's her?" I shouted. But before I could touch the glass, my reflection moved first, pressing its palm against mine, and this time, it was warm. The warmth of that touch shot through me like an electric current, burning and freezing at the same time. I tried to pull my hand away, but my reflection's fingers tightened around mine, gripping with impossible strength. My skin felt like it was being pulled through the glass itself, and the harder I struggled, the more the world around me began to twist. The cellar walls rippled. The sound of dripping water turned into muffled whispers. Hundreds of them chanting my name in different tones, different ages, as if every version of me that ever existed was trapped there. "Emma?" the reflection said softly, her voice now calm, almost motherly. "He wanted to save you, but he didn't understand. You were chosen long before he disappeared." My knees buckled as pain shot up my arm, but I couldn't look away. Her eyes were endless black voids now. No pupils, no white, just reflectionless darkness. "Chosen for what?" I gasped, tears streaking my face. The reflection's smile widened. "To stay," she whispered. "To take his place." The moment she said it, I felt a force yanking me forward. My vision blurred as I fell through the glass like water, tumbling into a space that felt endless and cold. I screamed, but no sound came out. Then suddenly, I was standing again, only now. I was on the other side of the mirror. I looked around frantically, realizing with horror that I was in the same cellar. But everything was reversed. The light from my flashlight was gone. The air was thicker, darker, and every surface shimmered faintly like liquid glass. In the distance, I saw Noah. He looked older, thinner, his eyes sunken with exhaustion. "Noah!" I cried out, running toward him. He caught me, holding me tightly, trembling. "You shouldn't have come here," he whispered, voice breaking. "I tried to warn you. What is this place?" I demanded, my voice echoing strangely, as if the walls themselves were listening. "It's her world," he said, his gaze darting to the reflective surface behind me. "The mirror doesn't just show you, it replaces you. Every time someone looks long enough, she learns them, and when you open the door, she steps out." My heart stopped as I slowly turned around. My reflection, my other self, was standing on the outside of the mirror now, and she was smiling at me. Her smile was slow, deliberate, and terrifyingly familiar. It was my smile, the one I'd forced through pain, through loss, through every year I'd spent searching for Noah. But on her face, it looked wrong, empty. She pressed her hand against the surface of the mirror separating us, studying me like I was a specimen in a jar. "You always wanted to know the truth," she said, her voice echoing in the chamber. "Now you're part of it." My pulse pounded in my ears as I stepped backward, clutching Noah's arm. "We can't let her out," he whispered urgently. "Once she crosses completely, there's no way back." I stared at him, my heart shattering. "You've been trapped here all this time?" His eyes filled with tears. "I thought I could stop her. I thought if I stayed, she wouldn't find you. But Mom," his voice broke. "She made a deal with it, Emma. She thought she could protect us one child for the other." The air seemed to vanish from the room. "Mom did this?" I whispered. "She didn't know what she was bringing into the house," he said. "She found that mirror in the attic when we were kids. After Dad died, she started hearing his voice in it. She thought it was him talking to her. But it wasn't. It was her." My reflection tilted her head, as if listening. "Poor Noah," she said mockingly. "He was such a brave little boy. He thought hiding down here would save you." She reached forward, pressing harder against the glass, and a crack snaked across its surface like lightning. "It's time for you to understand what it's like on this side." The glass pulsed, glowing faintly, and I felt the ground shake beneath my feet. Noah grabbed my hand. "Run, Emma!" he shouted. But there was nowhere to run. The walls around us began to shift, melting into reflective surfaces that all showed her, dozens of versions of her face smiling back. I could feel her pulling, trying to drag me forward again. I screamed, fighting to hold on to Noah's arm. "You have to break it," he shouted. "The mirror, smash it." "With what?" I yelled, panicking. Then I saw an old shard of glass glinting on the floor from the shattered frame above. I grabbed it, lifted it high, and as she reached for me, I swung with everything I had. The shard struck the mirror with a scream of breaking glass and shattering light. A shockwave of cold air blasted through the room, knocking me and Noah backward into the wall. The sound was unbearable, like metal twisting and voices crying out all at once. Every reflection in the chamber fractured, faces breaking apart and reforming into ripples of darkness before fading into nothing. My hands stung from the impact, and when I looked down, blood streaked across my palms. But the mirror, it wasn't just cracked anymore, it was dissolving, turning into black smoke that hissed and curled toward the ceiling. My reflection's voice came from everywhere and nowhere at once. "You think you've won?" she hissed, her tone now distorted and monstrous. "I am not just the reflection. I am the memory that keeps you alive." The words made my skin crawl. The walls around us began to collapse, revealing flashes of the old house, moments frozen in time, and Noah as kids playing in the yard, our mother smiling from the kitchen window, then later, crying in the dark, whispering to the mirror. "She's trying to trap us in it," Noah shouted, pulling me toward the tunnel we came from. The air felt heavy, sticky, like wading through water. My legs burned as I forced myself forward, but the sound of her voice followed us, sharper now, almost in my ear. "You opened the door, Emma. You let me in. You can't close it again." I turned back just once, and for a heartbeat, I saw her emerging from the smoke half-formed, flickering, like she was made of liquid glass. Her eyes met mine, and I understood what she meant. She wasn't trying to escape anymore. She was trying to take me back with her. I grabbed Noah's arm and ran harder, the tunnel shaking behind us. Dust rained from the ceiling as the house above groaned like it was alive. The closer we got to the end, the stronger the pull became, dragging at my clothes, my hair, my very breath. I could feel her clawing at the edges of my mind, whispering in my thoughts. "You'll never be free of me." With the last of my strength, I pushed Noah ahead and threw myself through the opening, slamming the hidden door shut behind us. Then, everything went still. For a long moment, I lay on the cold floor, gasping, listening to the silence that had fallen over the house. The air was thick with dust, and the faint light from the hallway barely reached the cracked doorway. Noah was beside me, coughing, his face pale but alive. We had made it out. Or at least I thought we had. I pushed myself up, my entire body trembling, and looked around. The walls of the old house were shifting slightly, like they were breathing, but then slowly, they began to settle. The air grew still again, the mirror's whispers fading into the distance until all I could hear was my heartbeat. "Is it over?" I asked, my voice hoarse. Noah nodded weakly, though his eyes were filled with exhaustion and something else fear. "For now," he said. "You broke her hold. That's more than I ever could." I wanted to believe him, but as I looked toward the hidden door, I could see faint cracks glowing softly along its edges, as if something beneath was still alive, still watching. "We can't stay here," I whispered. "We have to leave." Noah nodded, and together we made our way out of his room, out of the house that had trapped us both for so long. The sun was just beginning to rise, casting a pale orange light across the front yard. For the first time in years, I felt like I could breathe. I turned to Noah, wanting to smile, but something stopped me. His shadow stretched across the ground behind him, but there was something wrong with it. It didn't move quite right, like it lagged a second behind. When he noticed me staring, he gave a tired smile. "It's really me, Emma," he said softly, but his voice wavered, and in the reflection of the window behind him, I saw it. This reflection wasn't smiling at all. I took a step back, my chest tightening. He looked over his shoulder, then down at the window, realization dawning in his eyes. The glass shimmered faintly, and for a split second, I thought I saw her. The same dark smile, the same hollow eyes staring back. Noah turned to me, tears forming. "Run," he whispered. But before I could move, the window cracked. Just once, then twice. And from within the glass, something reached out.